start. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Burning Rubber Podcast. I'm Jake Scarborough, and we are here for episode 2 of the 2023 season. I'm joined here by my lovely co-host, everyone.
Hi, how you doing?
Oh,
Hello.
So, obviously, we've got quite a bit to talk about this week. Not a little bit more than last week, but not as much as usual. However, Daytona, I'm about to get roasted for my failed predictions at practically everything except 3 of the Opens picks, but just Daytona, talk about, let's discuss the truck race. Tim.
it was not great.
Oh.
Couldn't really.
There's the camera doing the thing again. Okay. Anyways, continue.
You couldn't really push a guy without wrecking him, and the people who were pushing were always pushing too hard, so wrecks were inevitable. And it ended in rain, so it was just not a good race. But Zane Smith won, and I was right about that. So big ups.
Fair enough. Fabian.
Yeah, I feel like we watched more caution laps than we saw green flag racing. I nearly even fell asleep between one of the caution laps. We're surprising. The trucks this season were surprisingly a lot looser than
I don't know
than they were in previous Daytona races. I feel like if you just slightly tap a guy even on the backstretch, it would just spin out and cause a huge wreck. But yeah, a solid 6 out of 10 for me.
Sal?
I actually liked it, other than the rain ruining the first lap of the race. Yeah, you could tell they were looser and everything. I thought it was getting to the point where maybe the drivers knew, hey, there's quite a bit of rain, this thing could be called, so that could be why it feels they were being more aggressive. But I fell asleep after after they actually red flagged it. And I had to wake up to being told it was called. So, but Zane Smith won, so yeah.
Stotts, how about you?
The race was it's Daytona. Wrecks happened. Trucks were definitely a lot more looser. Very unfortunate it got called due to rain. Another thing I don't like about NASCAR, but that's for another topic. Just think there was some over aggressive pushing and stuff being done, and just some unexperienced drivers also playing a part in that. But I'm just also happy my pick was right. So at the end of the day, I'm a winner.
And that's something I was far from this weekend.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, yeah, I'd have to agree. Hopefully my camera stops doing whatever that is. I'd have to agree. Truck race was odd. Especially the rain. That kind of messed things up. Uneventful, if I'd say the least. I'd say there was there it goes, yeah. I love this. Okay, I'm guessing we're rocking with the no camera for the rest of the podcast.
That's a good look.
Yeah, thanks. Really appreciate it. Nevertheless, I feel like the partially to do with some subjects later on. We saw some promising showings from some drivers with teams. Like we saw the whole lineup with KBM may look promising after all. Haley Deegan's move to ThorSport may be promising after all. But besides that, the race itself was just kind of bleh. It's your typical truck race at Daytona plus typical Daytona weather. But aside from that, I mean, there's not much to it as far as Christian Eckes is concerned. Mickey Mouse won. Nevertheless, moving on to the Xfinity race. Tim, your go.
I really only caught the end of it, and it's kind of tragic how JRM did not win that. The fact that everyone was kind of out for themselves when one of them could have easily won that, and then none of them did. But Austin Hill won, so I mean, deserved.
Fair. Fidel?
I thought the racing was pretty good for the Xfinity race. Especially since most plate tracks or plate races for Xfinity is just single file on the top for most of the race until the last 10 laps. So seeing how there was actual racing even up until the end with that crazy flip with Sam Mayer, I give the race a good 8 out of 10.
Mhm. Sal?
I mean, it was good. I like Tim mentioned, I just can't believe how Jaren fumbled the bag there. If you show anyone like a picture of the last 10 laps and show Austin Hill leading with 4 JRM cars right behind him, single file, you surely think, okay, well, one of the JRM cars won that race. But I mean, I don't know if they just weren't on the same page or what, because I mean, it all started going downhill the moment Justin pulled out first. Um, other than that, I mean, the rest of the race was pretty solid. Uh, Pretty controversial call, I guess, to determine the winner, but that's a subject for later.
Matthew, how about you?
Well, I really want to talk about this JRM thing. I've never seen a team choke a lead like that since the 2016 finals. Warriors blew a 3-1 lead. This team blew a 4-car pack to a 1-car, just basically a 1-car Austin Hill Chevrolet. I don't understand. It was a great race. It was a great race. I enjoyed it. They were single or they were double file a lot throughout the race. Then towards the end they started to single out and train up top, which I wasn't too much of a fan of. But hey, we got a good finish. We got a really good finish. Controversial finish, but nonetheless, it was pretty crazy with the Sam Mayer flip in the back, and then obviously you had the 3 wide photo-ish type finish with Hill, Nemechek, and then Allgaier. But yeah, I think the Xfinity race all around was really exciting to watch from the beginning to the very end, and I think it was probably one of the better Xfinity races that we've had throughout the past Daytona races. So I liked it.
Oh, fair enough there. From what I watched of it, I feel like it's one of the better, as you said, better Daytona races we've had in Xfinity. But something I'd like to touch on is something we'll also be talking later on about is the whole overtime thing, or not overtime, but the whole caution system with how it works. I've seen quite a lot of people get controversial about, oh, just let them race it back to the line, but you also have to look at it. Why would you race it back to the line when someone's currently upside down sliding down the back straightaway? So it's kind of one of those things. People are going to get weird about it, and there's not much you can do. But you also look at it as NASCAR's looking at one photo specifically of this 3 wide finish, as far as they're concerned. So it makes you wonder, like, okay, well, they could easily take it frame by frame and decide their own outcome, which implies the sport's rigged. And there are a lot of people that say that, but I'm not going to touch on that subject today. But overall, yeah, that race was just something, to say the very least. Nevertheless, moving forward to the crazy, to say the least, Daytona 500, where we saw Ricky Stenhouse take away the win. Yeah, Tim?
Yeah, I mean, I thought the finish was it was all looking good. Like I would have loved to see what Kyle Busch and like RCR would have done if they stayed green, but then Suarez wrecked. And then Kyle and them got kind of shuffled out. And also like kind of touching on overtime, or not overtime, but like the final yellows and how it decided like 2 races. It's such a difficult thing because obviously it's dangerous for the drivers if you have them race back to the line, because if they don't slow down they could obviously like hit a stopped car, but also it kind of just makes the finish a lot less desirable for the fans. So that's kind of a tough thing to change. But I mean, the race was good. The race was really good. It just kind of sucks that it has to end like that.
Yeah. Well, Fabian, what about you?
Yeah, I'm basically with Tim on this one. First 20 laps of the race, it just felt like no one could go anywhere in the pack. Like how they started started the race is just how they ran for 20 laps or so. Bell was able to make some moves for the lead, but other than that, that was it until pit stops happened. Then we got some actual racing on track. But other than that, it was a pretty good 500.
Sal?
Yeah, I don't know. I think the package they run for these super speedways may need a little bit of some work. Because I mean, like Fidel said, it's not the first however many laps they went without a caution. They just rode around exactly where they started, except for Christopher Bell, who somehow got up there. I don't know. We went to commercials and we came back and Bell was in the lead. Um, and it'd make the moves, it'd make the people that go to the back and try to make runs to the front, it'd make it more interesting. Because I believe Denny Hamlin was saying where if this was like 2-3 years ago, he'd need about like 5 laps or maybe less to get from the back to the front. And this time his crew asked him, what do you need to get from the back to the front here in this last run? And he said about 2 more green flag pit stops because he can't go anywhere. So I mean the race was good. I'm not gonna take anything away from that. I thought it was a pretty one of the most decent 500s we've had in the last couple years. Just would have liked to see more of that, getting shuffled back, working your way all the way to the front. And I mean, some people made it work, others couldn't. So, but yeah, it was a good race, neat finisher, neat winner. I mean,
Well, Stotts, how about you?
Oh, I'm laughing a little bit. Just laugh for a second. For one, I like the winner. I'm very, whether you love him or hate him, Ricky Stenhouse. It's good to see him win. We always know how good he is at these plate tracks and stuff, and finally being able to win the 500 is something he is probably most well deserved. For the guy. But yeah, man, throughout the race, really the only places you can make time up is on pit road. Um, during green flag pit stops. I noticed it with some of the Ford drivers. There was some that were entering in the back of the group and stuff, and the way they got to the front is just genuine, just off of taking either less gas or whatever the strategy was. Like the other said, package needs work. It needs to be worked on for these type of tracks if you want to get the pack racing that pack racing we had a couple years ago. But the race was still watchable. It's not like I flicked my TV screen off or something, or I just went to sleep. I mean, it, it it was good to still watch. Just package just needs some tune ups. Other than that though, winter's cool. Um, finish is once again a little talked about, but still, I enjoyed it. Made my day.
Well, Fair enough. I have to agree with you. Yeah, the package does need some touching up. Obviously, I haven't been a fan personally of the plate racing since the old like Gen 5, like tandem drafting. That's personally when I liked it. But as far as the race itself, yeah, it's sad that a guy like Ricky Stenhouse winning that race, he was under the radar for so many people. After everyone knows he's probably one of the better plate racers in the Cup Series right now. So the fact that he pulled that off is awesome to see. But knowing how the race ended in its late stages and it ended under caution, I mean, heck, look at all the Daytona races this weekend. ARCA was the only one that finished under green flag. That's sad in terms of NASCAR because ARCA's always made out to be the wreck fest, and they were honestly the cleanest one all weekend.
Eh.
They had their moments, but as far as everyone just kind of chucking it,
Some of them are bad.
well, just some of them are bad. Yeah,
You
that's
see the car wrecking under caution for crying out loud?
Oh,
hey, it just looks like a league race, okay?
it's just people
Road
get a
post.
paycheck and get to race.
Exactly. But that's kind of going to bring us into our next topic is the whole overtime system. Obviously that's been mixed opinions for a lot of people the past few years ever since it was kind of implemented. We went from the whole we have 3 attempts at a green white checkered to now we have unlimited attempts. Personally, I'm not a fan, and I'm looking down at Fabian, even though you can't see my camera. But I'm looking down at Fabian, and he's probably still punching the air at the fact that Kyle Busch technically won the Daytona 500. He just didn't win the Daytona 38, whatever it was. Why is this popping up on my screen? All right, nevertheless. So yeah, I'm just gonna flat out say if you advertise a race as 500 miles, it should end at 500 miles. IndyCar, IMSA, every other series does it. Why does NASCAR have to fancy themselves to do it? Tim, what do you think?
I think NASCAR, and I could pretty much speak for all of us just because time, but I think honestly NASCAR is going for way more entertainment than actually like a good product, and that's why F1's catching up because the entertainment isn't really entertaining. It's like artificial bullshit. So, I mean, I personally don't like it. It just ruins the sport.
Fair, Fabian.
Yeah, I'm with Tim on this one. I would either just go back to the old green white checkered rule where you only have 3 attempts, then it's over, or just like how Kyle would be saying it. It was 98, the race would be over by now. So yeah.
Sal.
I think you either do overtime to get a green flag finish, like kind of like the ARCA rule, or just call it when it's done. Really, I don't see the point in we're gonna run 3 overtimes, but if the white flag's out on the third overtime, we're gonna go ahead and call the race. Well, that's kind of where I stand on it.
Thoughts?
Well, I think we need to go back to the old way of 3 attempts. I think 3 was definitely enough. Especially looking at like daylight saving times and all that for some tracks, that we run into because we start so late now. It can be an issue for some tracks. So I think 3 is what needs to be implemented again. It seems to always be perfectly fine like that.
Well, moving on to our next topic, which I already mentioned, was we obviously saw some weird driver changes. Obviously, we won't really touch on the Haley Deegan one because that one was kind of a toss-up. Do we expect her to stay in trucks and still develop in a series where it's not really a development series anymore? But to look at KBM, a lot of people were skeptical of their off season with driver lineup. Obviously, switching away from Toyota and Chevy being their manufacturer now, they had to kind of just pick up people. I don't know. From what I saw from the truck race, they weren't doing that bad. And I feel like with this team, they could possibly elevate the guys that they've got that were kind of just being looked at as, the back runners just 2 years ago or just a year ago. I think they can go somewhere. I don't know. Tim?
I mean, KVM did look like they had some potential, and it's like no one really saw that coming because I thought they were pretty good. But I mean, it's kind of hard to judge before you get on a track that isn't Daytona. But I mean, I think with all the driver moves and everything, it'll get pretty interesting.
Fabian?
Well, I don't know what to expect from a team when one of their drivers' names is just an innuendo. So it's a toss up right now. It could.
my.
I just see
Oh my.
Sots dying in
I
the
just
background.
got what. Okay. Anyways, just go. Just.
It could honestly be a toss up right now. They could have a really good season where they just pick up a bunch of wins from both of their drivers, get into the championship for maybe have a shot at the championship, or they can just have a horrible Roush Fenway Xfinity Series type season where they're just wrecking almost every single race.
Mm.
I had to look up what an innuendo was.
Sal.
I don't want to say anything until I see how they do at Phoenix.
Okay. Stotts?
Well, good, because I will. Still, man, when I look at some people, when I look at a Chase Purdy and a Jack Wood, I
he
giggle.
said it. He said the funny.
I giggle, bro.
Oh, bro.
Jack Wood, what he drive for? Was it GMS?
Yeah.
Yes,
And who did Purdy drive for last season?
Think GMS as well.
GMS as well.
So we got two scrubs coming from GMS, and we think putting them KBM's going to do something. Like when I look at this, I think Ty Gillen was one example. And look where he is now. Awesome, he's in Cup. See, things can work out when you do horrible in the Truck Series.
Not full time.
Yeah. Just when I look at Chase Purdy and Jack Wood, I don't see it, bro. The trucks might be damn good. They might got some speed, but you got to have some driver skill behind it, you know. And I just think they lack just a lot of it, but that's okay. If they can get progressively better as the year goes on and shut me up, that'd be nice. But honestly, when you look at their previous history in the trucks, their numbers they don't scream nothing. They except fear. So
Oh boy.
I mean, I'm being honest. I just it's like he picked up garbage. I mean, he was kind of forced to pick these two up. I mean, I don't think he had any better options.
So your end result is you're just a doubter. I see.
I'm a hater.
Okay, yeah, okay. Moving on from that before that gets any worse. Fontana this weekend. We'll get some more coverage of that on our social medias because yours truly is going to be there, not with a broken camera. Nevertheless, we have another announcement with that we can't share at this given moment. So keep an eye on the social medias leading up to this weekend. But predictions for Fontana Xfinity Cup Truck Off Week. Tim, just hit us with both.
It'll be my championship prediction.
Oh dear.
For both of them.
Oh dear.
Can't be any worse than the stuff you pulled last week.
Hey.
Brandon Jones is going to lead so much, and he's going to win. And that Menards 9 looks beautiful. And Denny Hamlin, he's due. He's due. He's going to work out.
All right. We've just had some camera rearranging on the bottom, I guess. Okay. Fabian?
I think Cole Custer is going to go on a tear this season. This will be his revenge tour. So I'm going to pick him to go back-to-back at Auto Club. For Cup, I feel like Elliott's going to get it. He had a really good car last season before a small little inconvenience with Kyle Larson. So I think he'll be able to recuperate and get it this weekend.
A small little inconvenience. He finished like 35th.
Sal, how about you? Who are you going for? I'm assuming the same thing.
No. I don't like to be predictable on here. I think who did I think? For Xfinity, I'm gonna go ahead and take Josh Berry because he is the second coming of Jesus. And for Cup, I'm gonna say Christopher Bell. I think the dirt guys for some reason I think this will play an advantage into people who run a lot of dirt. Bowman, Larson, Bell, Bush. But I think Bell gets his first win of the season.
All right, Stotts, who you got?
Xfinity, I'm going with Sir Colonel Custard. He won this race last season in the 07. So I mean, that speaks wonders. And then for Cup, I'm gonna go with my good pal Tyler Reddick. Got a lot of trust in him to turn that 23-11 team around.
Stop picking my things. Okay. I'm gonna go all out here. Chips in. John Hunter Nemechek wins the Xfinity race. And
I like you.
I'm not changing it again, because screw you, but I'm going with Tyler Reddick in Cup as well. Just because of how last season turned out. He wants vengeance. But since we're on a time crunch now, nevertheless, thank you all for tuning in. Episode 3 will be out next Wednesday, hopefully with a lot of coverage from this weekend at Fontana. Nevertheless, we'll see you then. Goodbye.
Ciao, guys.
Later, Gator.
Oh no.